Hello National 5, it's Mr. Neil here. In this video we're going to be looking at SQL, which is part of the Database Design and Development Unit within National 5 Computing Science. For the purposes of National 5 Computing, you need to be able to describe, exemplify and implement SQL operations using relational databases with a maximum of 2 linked tables. And the operations you need to be able to implement, describe and exemplify are select, insert, update, delete and an equi-join between tables. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to explain what SQL is. You will be able to implement SQL select queries utilising less than, greater than, equal to, and or. You'll be able to implement select queries that utilise equi-joins, and you'll be able to implement SQL queries that insert information to a database table, update information within a database table, and delete information from a database table. So firstly, what is SQL? Well, SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it's a language that is designed for working with databases where you will store, manipulate and retrieve information from that database. At National 5, we're focusing in on the retrieving part, which is our select queries, and our manipulating part, which is our insert, update and delete queries. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be using the Clyde Vets database, which might look familiar to some of you. The Clyde Vet database contains 2 tables. The owner table, which is details about all the owners that visit our vets practice, and the pet table, which contains all the details about the pets that visit the vet practice. And as you can see here, the 2 tables are linked because within the pet table we have the owner ID. So this owner, Misty, is owned by owner ID 2356, which is Sally Chan, and those are her details here. Let's now go and have a look at the Clyde Vets database within REPL. Here we are within the Clyde Vets database in REPL. First things first, as we're going to be working with this database, it is really important that you're logged in to a REPL account. If you don't have a REPL account, I suggest you make one. What we're going to do is we are going to click fork, and that allows us to edit the database. Once it's forked, you'll notice that there's a number of files on the left hand side. The only one that we're interested in is query SQL. This is the one where we're going to type in our SQL commands. At the moment, I have 2 very simple SQL queries. I have select all from owner and select all from pet. And that means when I run this query, I will be able to see all the information in the owner table and all the information in the pet table. When it comes to you to write your SQL queries, make sure you clear the console of any previous results by clicking the clear button, and then you can delete the SQL that is present and type in your own commands. Once you've typed in your SQL query, you can then click Run. Let's now go have a look at SQL in a little bit more depth. The first query we're going to look at is a select query, and the purpose of a select query is to retrieve information from a database table. There are 4 main parts of a select query. Statement, select, and that's where we identify the fields that we're going to display. The from, this is the table that our information is coming from. The where, this is the criteria that we want to match. And order by, this is how the results should be sorted, whether they're ascending or descending order. So let's have a look at an example of an SQL select query. In this example, we want to find the name and address for all owners who live in Gourock. So following the structure, we select the fields that we want to display. In this case, it's first name, surname and address. This information comes from the owner table, and we only want to identify the owners where the town is equal to Gourock. We implement that, we get the result Elaine Bryce and Cameron Gray. Now let's say we wanted to run the same query, but we want the results in alphabetical order of first name. So we want Cameron before Elaine. We would add to our query the line, order by, the field that we want to order, in this case first name, and then the order we want it to be in. So alphabetical is ascending order, so we put A, S, C. And when we implement that query, Cameron would jump before Elaine. Why don't you head over to the REPL database and try implementing this query? Let's look at another query. This time, we want to find the name and age of all cats. So we select the pet name and the age, This time it is coming from the pet table, where the pet type is equal to cat. And you'll notice that because cat is text, it is inside quotation marks. When we run that query, we will get the result Misty 2, Foggy 8. Now imagine we wanted to list the oldest cat first, so Foggy should be at the top, followed by Misty. This time we add the order by, specify the field we want to order, in this case age, and we write DESC for descending, and that will put Foggy at the top, followed by Misty. Why don't you head over to the REPL database and try this now? In this example, we want to display the name and type for pets under 5 years old. So we're selecting the pet name and pet type from the pet table where the age is less than 5. So we have used the mathematical operator less than to signify that we want age to be less than 5. As 5 is a number, it does not have to be inside quotation marks. When we run that query, we get the results Misty, Rover and Gladys. Let's say we wanted all the pets that were under 5, but we also wanted them to be vaccinated. So this is adding another condition to our where line, because we want the age to be less than 12 and we want vaccinated to equal 1, because 1 is our true value in the boolean. So we add to our where line and vaccination equals 1. And again, 1 is a number, so it is not inside quotation marks. When we run that query, we get the results Misty and Rover. Head over to the REPL and try implementing this query. Let's now look how we insert information into our database table. To do that, we use the insert into command. We state insert into, followed by the name of the table that we're going to insert our new record to, followed by values. We can then list each of the values that we're going to enter into our database table. An alternative method is where we say insert into table and we specify the fields that we're going to add, followed by their values. So you can see here we've got field 1 and value 1, they match up. Field 3 and value 3, they match up, and field 4 and value 4, and they match up. However, in this case, there is no field 2 value, so it is not listed. Let's have a look at an example. We want to add the following pet to our pet table. So we specify insert into pet, as that is the table this information is going into. Then we outline the values that we're putting into our table. The pet code is P1182, the pet name is Jaffa, the pet type is dog, the age is 1, the vaccination is no, which in our case is represented by 0, and our owner ID is 3821. You will notice that the text values are inside quotation marks and the numerical values are not. When we implement this in REPL, we get no output. So, to make sure we have an output, we can run a simple select query. It's really important that after the insert statement, you include a semicolon. We can then say select all from pet. The asterisk means all. And when we run this query, we get this result. And you can see at the bottom there that Jaffa now appears in our database table. Head over to the REPL database and try and implement this query. Here we have a new owner that we want to add into our database, and you'll notice that for Catherine Mulgrew we do not have an address or town, so we do not have a complete record. Therefore, on our insert into line, we have to specify the table name and the fields that we are entering. Then our values line, we list the values in the same order that we've specified the fields. Owner ID is a number, so it is not inside quotation marks. Telephone number, because of the leading 0, is stored as text. Again, when we run this query, we will not get any results. So we can add the semicolon at the end and then a select all from owner query, and this will display all the results. And you can see at the bottom there, we have added Catherine Mulgrew into our database, but she does not have an address or a town. Head over to the REPL database and try this query now. If we want to change information in our database table, we use the update query. The three parts of the update query are update, where we set the table name, the set, where we specify the new value that we want to replace the old value in our database, and the where is the condition of the record that we want to update. Let's have a look at an example. Sally Chan, owner 2356, has moved to 32 Enterprise Park, Giffnock. Update her record. So we start by saying update owner, because Sally Chan is an owner. Set address equal to 32 Enterprise Park, comma, town equals Giffnock. In this case, we're updating multiple values. So we list the multiple values with a comma so that the SQL knows this is the address and this is the town. We then set our condition so that only Sally Chan is updated, and we're saying where owner ID is equal to 23576. And as this is an update query, if we were to run this, we would not get any result. So we include our semicolon and we put a select all from owner query in. And that means when we run our query, we get this result here. And you can see that Sally Chan now has our new updated address and has the town of Giffnock. Head over to the REPL database and try and implement this query. If we want to delete any information from our database, we use a delete query. And this removes a record from our database. The delete has two parts. Delete from, where we specify the table name that we want to delete, and the where, and this specifies the condition of the record or record that we must delete. Now it is important to note that in most cases, where you delete a record, it is not possible for that delete to be undone. It's permanent. So it's really important that you get the condition right or you could delete the wrong records. Let's have a look at an example. Remove Slinky the Tortoise, pet code P1985 from the pet table. So we're deleting from the pet table where the pet code is equal to P1985. Again, we're including our semicolon and then we're going to run a select all query. And you will see here, looking at the results, that Slinky the Tortoise no longer exists within our pet database. Head over to the REPL database and try out this query now. So we've now retrieved information from a table, inserted information into a table, updated information in a table, and deleted an information from a table. The next step is selecting information from multiple tables. So in this example, we want to display the name of all cat owners. So let's think what we're looking for. So we're looking for all cats in our cat table, and we're looking for their owners. So we can do that manually. The owner of Misty is 2356, which is Sally Chan, and the owner of Foggy is 1277, which is Hardeep Singh. So now we've identified who we expect to see, let's go and write the SQL query for this. So we want to display the pet name, the first name, and the surname. This information is coming from the owner table and the pet table. And it was cat owners we were looking for, so we say where pet type equals cat. Let's now run this query. And you'll see by the looks of it, Foggy and Misty are owned by every owner in our database. Let's have a look at why that is. Here we have our cats, Misty and Foggy. And what our database has done is it's taken each cat and it's essentially paired it up with each owner. So Misty and Foggy are both owned by Hardeep, they're both owned by Sally, they're both owned by Elaine, and they're both owned by Cameron. And that's why in our query we had 8 results, because each cat was owned by each of the owner. When we're writing a query that uses information from 2 different tables, we have to specify the relationship that exists between these 2 tables. And the relationship is between the owner ID and the pet table, and the owner ID and the owner table, and they have to be equal to each other. The owner ID of Misty is 2356, and that must equal the owner ID and the owner table for Sally Chan. So we write that by saying and owner.ownerid equals pet.ownerid, or the way I remember it, the primary key in one table equals the foreign key in the other table. And when we run that query, we get the result Misty is owned by Sally Chan and Foggy is owned by Hardeep Singh. Head over to the REPL database and try out this query now. We've covered a lot in this video. We've talked about what SQL is, we've looked at SQL select, insert, update and delete queries, and we've looked at select queries utilising two different tables. So now it's over to you. We've got a database called Panto Season, and it stores the information about Pantos and customers who have booked tickets to see the Pantos. I'd like you to have a go at implementing some SQL queries that will answer these 6 questions. You'll find all these questions within the REPL database project, which is available at the address on your screen.